It's hump day. It's weather for Weather Geeks time here on Wednesday, January the 28th. We've got two systems we've got to keep an eye on over the next several days. We'll get to that in a second. Real quickly, though, what's going on right now is a crystal clear sky across much of the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic region in the wake of our East Coast blizzard. So all of this gray you see here, this is not cloud cover, it's snow cover being picked up on the satellite. Real cool to pick out some of the features here. Here's the Finger Lakes in southwest New York. Where the darker regions are, those are the higher elevations. So here's the Adirondacks in upstate New York, the Ridge and Valley region of central and east central parts of Pennsylvania, and a lot of snow on the ground down to roughly Baltimore, D.C., heading down into the mountains of West Virginia, and then a bare ground down here in parts of the Delmarva region. So real cool satellite picture today. We'll have a nice close-up picture of northern Ohio, Lake Erie. We should get a real good look at the ice on Lake Erie with a fresh high-res satellite later on this afternoon. You can also see the snow cover on kind of a lower resolution shot here, but all of this kind of subtle gray and white, that's the snow on the ground. It is just cloud-free out there this afternoon. You can see some of the ice is pushed off the north shore of Lake Erie, but plenty of ice on the lake this afternoon. Like pop on the radar here. Our next weather maker coming our way tomorrow. We've been talking about this for a couple of days now. This doesn't look like much. It's still out here across the northern plains, northern Rockies, but as it comes east, it's going to pick up some moisture and bring in some milder air as well, and that'll have implications for us tomorrow as far as the precipitation type that we do expect. Let's show you the temperatures nationwide here this afternoon. Lots and lots of mild air across the middle of the country once again today. 70s in Dallas. Been a beautiful week in Dallas and Oklahoma City, Tulsa, towards Kansas City as well. And a little bit of this milder air will make its way east tomorrow, especially up in the few thousand feet above our heads. Not as high as the airplanes fly, but a few thousand feet up. The air will get mild enough tomorrow that we might have to deal with some freezing rain and sleet for a brief time, change over to some rain, eventually back to snow. We're going to detail what we have coming up tomorrow. Well, let's do that right now that we've kind of covered the near term or the current situation. I'm going to bring up tomorrow's NAM model, North American model. This model, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a short-range model. It covers the U.S. and parts of Canada. And we're going to skip ahead to tomorrow morning here. This is the simulated radar product. In other words, what the model thinks the radar will look like tomorrow morning. Come on in, you're fine. A busy place in here today. We have a system that's going to be coming in from the west during the course of tomorrow morning, and it's going to be a race, a temperature and precipitation race. And what I mean by that, temperatures will be rising tomorrow morning. Precipitation is going to be coming in tomorrow morning. The question for us in eastern Ohio and western PA is, do we make it above freezing before the rain arrives? That's the big question. It's a close call. I think this is not a problem first thing in the morning around daybreak, but a couple of hours later. Let's skip ahead to 10 a.m. and notice wall of precipitation pushing in from the west. Now, at this point, our temperature locally probably still below freezing, and so, it's a race. Do we get above freezing before this rain gets in? Let's look at the precip type on the model here. These peachish hues indicating freezing rain, possibly some sleet as well, out towards Mansfield, Sandusky, Columbus. Let's skip forward a couple of hours then. Again, that was at 10 a.m. Here's noon. And by this point, our chances of precipitation are certainly increasing, and we're probably right around freezing. So it's going to be a close call. But since we are going to be right around freezing and not in the mid-20s, I'm not real concerned about a buildup of ice, a big problem. It's not an ice storm. But I do think things can be a little slick for a time, mid and especially late morning tomorrow. Then we're going to get above freezing, and as we get into the afternoon tomorrow, skip ahead to, this would be 3 in the afternoon. It's probably going to be raining some. Real light rain, probably, moderate at times, but we're going to be in the mid-30s, it looks like. So just a damp and chilly afternoon, but everything should be damp. Not worried about ice during the afternoon. So the kids will get home from school just fine. So we go towards tomorrow evening, and the cold air starts to wrap in. I do think that as after the sun sets and the cold front passes through, any rain's going to change back over to some snow. Again, we're looking at just one model here, the NAM, but notice as we are in the middle of the afternoon here, maybe a little bit of piddling around between rain and snow, but certainly more solidly snow by the evening here at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. And I do think the snow can accumulate tomorrow night into first thing Friday morning, generally an inch to 2 or 3. Your better chance of getting a couple or a few inches will be north of I-80. But everyone has the chance of seeing some slick roadways as not only the snow accumulates, but any wet and slushy areas refreeze tomorrow night, heading into early in the day on Friday. So keep that in mind. Here's a look at the probability of precipitation on the latest SREF. The green, that's rain. The red would be some sort of ice, freezing rain, sleet mix. The blue is snow. We're looking at this time period right here. This area is Thursday right here. This is Thursday night here. And notice during Thursday, first thing in the morning, low odds of some ice, decent odds then, up over 60% of some rain by the end of the morning. But then notice as we go into the afternoon, the chance of rain drops and the chance of snow goes up. So I think by the end of the afternoon, most of us will be seeing some snow across the region. As far as how much snow, again, I think generally an inch to 2 or 3. Here's the same SREF model. 21 members of this model, each member represented by a line. The scale over here on the left, if this is a little hard to read, here's an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. The average is this dark line here, and that average ends up kind of leveling out by Friday morning at right around 2.5, almost 3 inches at the airport, southeastern Trumbull County. So I think, again, your chance of seeing up to 3 better north of I-80. The farther south you are, you're probably closer to an inch. So watch out for slick travel tomorrow night heading into Friday morning. All right, Friday during the day is going to be blustery. It's going to be cold as this low cranks up on the East Coast. Strong winds, northerly winds, some flurries, some snow showers, probably stay in the teens on Friday. Saturday is a calmer day. Saturday could be a lot like today, maybe even a little colder than today, but fairly sunny. And then Sunday hits. Now, Sunday is tricky. Pay attention to my posts from earlier today on Facebook and Twitter. Challenging forecast this far out. Here's the current GFS Sunday afternoon. Has a weak area of low pressure scooting across the lower Ohio River Valley with some light to moderate snow up in our neck of the woods. That's this morning's run. Look at last night's run. Look how much different this ends up being. Here's last night's run in the evening, Sunday evening. Pretty strong low there down near Cincinnati, Sunday evening on last night's GFS. Now, here's the current run, right here. Yeah, same time period right here. Notice how much weaker and farther east the low is. The low is this circle right here, Sunday evening over, eastern Maryland. But last night's run had it much farther west, back towards Cincinnati, and it was much stronger low. The implications would be, if the current run were to have the right idea, we wouldn't have to deal with any mixing of sleet and freezing rain. It would be a colder storm, but it would be a weaker storm, so snowfall amounts, while the precipitation would stay all snow, snowfall amounts would not be that high. So the models are waffling back and forth, the GFS in particular. We got a long way to go on this Sunday storm. Here's last night's European ensemble down here in the lower part of the screen. The blue is the operational run of the European model, which is the one most people see. The green is the average snowfall accumulation of 51 members of the European ensemble model. Getting a little technical for some of you here, but the bottom line is the ensemble is what we like to look at in the long range. That's the green bar. Again, it gives us about 3 inches for tomorrow night's system. But then here's where it starts elevating right here. That's Sunday's system and gives us another few inches. And I still think that's pretty reasonable this far out. I think our odds are pretty good of seeing at least a couple of inches Sunday into Sunday night. Could be a lot more than that if some situations work out. But I think our odds are pretty good of seeing at least a couple of inches Sunday night. Look at the long range, cold. As we head into February, we might not get much above 12, 13 degrees on Tuesday of next week, and lots of highs in the teens beyond that. So winter's grip, we're firmly in it. This is the heart of winter that we're heading into the next week to 2 weeks. The most consistently cold and stormy weather of the entire winter to wrap up January and start February. Thanks for sticking with me on this long weather for Weather Geeks on this Wednesday. I'll see you tonight with an update on 21 News at 6 and 11.